Bittersweet memories. That is all I'm taking with me. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a Bitcoin crypto update video. First, before we get started, everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi, we love you. So I've been doing this for a little while. I put another $1,000 yesterday into the Bitcoin trading account. So now I have about 4/5 of a Bitcoin. Again, just keeping things transparent, just keeping things open with you guys. Letting you know what I'm doing is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But if I'm talking to, let's say, my friend Steve, put everything you have in Bitcoin. Like, eat nothing but Taco Bell and put everything else that you have into Bitcoin. Pay your rent, get food, and that's it. That is it. And you just put the rest in Bitcoin. That's what I'm telling you, Steve. But for everyone else, I'd like to read an article from Bitcoin Magazine. It says, what does Coinbase's listing mean for Bitcoin? Coinbase direct listing legitimizes Bitcoin in the global, financial, legal, and political landscapes. Now, in this article, it states that the financial press will cover the Coinbase story from many angles. However, the greater conclusion to garner from this chronicle is Bitcoin's history is the following. Coinbase's direct listing further incorporates Bitcoin into the worldwide financial landscape and will act as a deterrent to any potential future U.S. government action against Bitcoin, such as a ban. For you guys, a lot of people say, like, maybe a good 10 to 15% people have been asking, are you worried that the U.S. government is going to ban Bitcoin? Are you worried that? No, not at all. Not at all. Because you're going to have the U.S. tries to ban it. Okay, well, Russia and China are not going to ban it. I mean, China has this thing where they say that, okay, well, it's bad for the environment, so you're not allowed to mine or you're not allowed to have a certain part of it. But they didn't outright ban it. So again, if the U.S. bans it and Russia and China don't, then Russia and China get the clear edge over us, and that's just not going to happen. Ultimately, this listing represents an important step towards the legitimization of Bitcoin as a mainstream financial asset. Coinbase is not without controversy, though, in the Bitcoin space, and some prominent Bitcoiners certainly have reservations regarding some of Coinbase's practices as a company. Now, one of the more troubling situations regarding Coinbase is that the company's close ties with the US government, as evidenced by its sale of proprietary surveillance tool named Coinbase Analytics to both the DEA and the Internal Revenue Service. So the DEA and the IRS are basically getting our information from Coinbase. Now, although cooperating with the government is a necessary evil of a regulated cryptocurrency exchange, it would be to Coinbase's advantage and best interest to push for stronger privacy rights for Bitcoiners, as doing so would shore up the company's reputation among the very demographic that is responsible for its success. When I first heard of Bitcoin, it was at PorcFest in 2013. Or when I had the first let me wind that back a little bit. I first heard of Bitcoin in like 2010. I didn't know what to think of it then. And then in 2014 and 2015, I actually saw it in practice. I saw people using it. I saw people like, oh, wow, so this is, and it was a bunch of anarchists, the libertarians, anarcho-capitalists, whatever you want to call them. It was at PorcFest, and it's at that time, it was just the people that were like so anti-government, like no government, they want to abolish the government. Some of them were small government, but I was like, okay, and that's where it spiraled from. It started really with them or people that wanted to use it on the dark net, and yeah, you could make the argument that you could use it for illegal things, but you could use the dollar for illegal things also. So I digress. Moving on the article, Bitcoiners' other bones of contention with Coinbase include the company's marketing of altcoins to its customers and the fact that the organization holds a trivial amount of Bitcoin on its balance sheet relative to its market capitalization, meaning market cap is, 100 billion, whatever it is, and they hold such a small amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, unlike Tesla, unlike Square, MicroStrategy, etc. Bitcoiners would welcome more Bitcoin-centric decisions by Coinbase that keep the firm more in line with its Bitcoin roots. Accordingly, placing a bigger bet on Bitcoin by increasing its Bitcoin holdings would be well received. Now, to summarize, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong should never forget that Bitcoin has played a large part in the company's success and will be a key driver for its future successes. Now, all differences aside, Coinbase is receiving the SEC's blessings for a public listing represents a paradigm shift for Bitcoin's adoption, especially in conjunction with the seemingly looming approval of a Bitcoin ETF. Now, with this listing, Bitcoin is becoming entrenched in the financial system with the government's approval, the positions of prominent U.S. government economic officials regarding Bitcoin are still antiquated, and some would argue antithetical to the spirit of American liberty, but it is far less likely that the government will seek a Bitcoin ban after this Coinbase direct listing has occurred, which again, it just has. Bitcoin cannot actually be banned as it is simply computer code that stores information. However, even a symbolic ban of Bitcoin by the US would certainly be a major setback for its adoption. Me personally, yeah, if you want to try to symbolic ban it, go right ahead. Drive that price down, allow me to buy more at a huge discount, because we all know where this is going, to the moon, eventually. Now, any event that makes Bitcoin ban in the US less likely is a positive event for Bitcoin, and this Coinbase listing appears to do just that. Now, as for how the Coinbase listings could affect the price of Bitcoin, it may be best to think conservatively. The price of Bitcoin might respond positively if Coinbase's stock price soars, but the day-to-day trading of Coinbase stock is unlikely to have a direct outsized impact on the Bitcoin price. If anything, Coinbase's share price could track the Bitcoin price to a degree, but far less so than that of a Bitcoin mining company or MicroStrategy, as Coinbase holds a negligible amount of Bitcoin on its balance sheet relative to many other companies that hold a Bitcoin treasury. Moreover, if you buy Coinbase shares, much of what you're buying is the company's performance as a financial intermediary, meaning that it's not attached to Bitcoin. The only way it's attached to Bitcoin is because it deals in Bitcoin. Whereas MicroStrategy, you're buying a lot of Bitcoin because that's most of what's going to be on their balance sheet over the coming years. Tesla even has a bit of Bitcoin. Now, according to Coinbase's S1 filing, the company does not intend to issue a dividend for the foreseeable future. I don't know what that means, 3 to 5 years maybe. And therefore, investors are speculating that Coinbase's core business performs well enough to warrant appreciation of the share price, as shareholders are unlikely to be given access to any of Coinbase's cash flows anytime soon. That being said, Cathie Wood bought almost $250 million of Coinbase on its IPO day, which is absolutely incredible. And $250 million with a B, bravo. About $246 million was spent on those ARK ETF funds. And, ARK Invest up until the other day had said, yeah, we expect to grow 15% annually each year. And then she raised it to 25% on her ETFs. Now, that, again, something like that is incredible. Now, some people will say that, oh, well, yeah, actually, Cathie Wood of ARK Invest, she sold Tesla to buy Coinbase. And that's on paper true, but what happens is she can't own any more than 10% of her funds in Tesla. So when Tesla went from like $650 a share to $730, it went above that 10%. So she had to trim regardless of Coinbase's IPO or not. But since she had the extra money, she was going to put it into Coinbase because that's what she does. Now, to further clarify the trading aspect of Coinbase stock, buying shares of Coinbase as a Bitcoin proxy trade, as some do with MicroStrategy, would be inefficient. Really, both company stocks are inefficient Bitcoin vehicles, as Coinbase does not hold a considerable amount of Bitcoin relative to the company's size. Therefore, the amount of Bitcoin attributable to each share is negligible and would likely trade at a high premium relative to the spot price. Now, Bitcoin maximalists may have their qualms with some of Coinbase's business practices, especially with regard to the organization's privacy practices and their foray into altcoins. However, these qualms aside, the Coinbase direct listing is positive for Bitcoin because it further ingrains Bitcoin into the existing financial infrastructure and makes heavy-handed government actions against Bitcoin much less likely. In 12 short years, Bitcoin has gone from an obscure novelty of the internet to a $1 trillion asset that is responsible for the meteoric rise of what will become a major publicly traded U.S. firm. And like I said, before the year's up, I'm going to have more than 50% of my portfolio, of my net worth in general, in Bitcoin. And it would be more, but I have Tesla stock, which I'm not selling. I have a bunch of Pokemon cards, which I'm selling one of them to buy Bitcoin, but most of the rest is still over $100,000 worth. And the reason why I'm not selling them to put them into Bitcoin is just because I don't need to sell them for dollars. I can always sell them for Bitcoin down the line. Right now, if I sell one card for, let's say, $1,000 and I buy Bitcoin, cool. But as Bitcoin becomes worth more and more and more, I'll be able to sell that for Bitcoin down the road whenever I want. Now, no matter how you feel personally about Coinbase as a corporation, this moment is a major milestone in Bitcoin's journey to revolutionize the world of money. And that was by, like I said, bitcoinmagazine.com. Any questions you have, please let them know in the comments down below. Are you buying Bitcoin? Let me know. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We love you guys. Goodbye. Meow, 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 meow.